Are you experiencing unexplained dark and velvety patches on the skin, or excessive hunger, maybe fatigue that just doesn't resolve with rest? Well, you just may be insulin resistant. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Davari, and in today's video, I'll be discussing insulin resistance, what it is, signs and symptoms to look out for, and what foods to incorporate into your diet to help slow down the absorption of glucose, and what foods to avoid. So, what is insulin resistance? Insulin resistance is a condition in which your body's cells just don't respond as effectively to insulin, which is a hormone produced by the pancreas that helps to regulate blood glucose levels. When the cells become resistant, the pancreas will compensate by producing more insulin to try to help remove the glucose from the bloodstream into the cell. Over time, though, this can lead to higher insulin and blood sugar levels. It may eventually contribute to the development of type 2 diabetes and other health issues. So some key points I want to touch on in regards to insulin resistance is its mechanism. So normally insulin, which is released from the pancreas, will go and bind on receptors that are located on the cell. Once it binds, this allows the glucose to get pulled out of the blood and into the cell. In insulin resistance, this process is impaired. So the more insulin is needed to achieve the same effect. Some risk factors that will increase your chances of becoming insulin resistant is obesity or inactivity, like lack of physical activity, genetic predisposition, and certain metabolic conditions that can increase the risk of developing this. How does it affect our health? Well, beyond type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance is also associated with metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease, and other metabolic disorders. How can you manage insulin resistance? Well, lifestyle changes are very important. Start to include regular physical activity. Eat a well-balanced diet. Control your weight. And sometimes medications are needed in order to help improve insulin sensitivity. What are some signs and symptoms of insulin resistance? Often in the early stages of insulin resistance, you won't see too many noticeable symptoms. This is why it can actually go undetected for quite some time. However, some signs and symptoms that may be associated with insulin resistance will include the following. It's something called Acanthosis Nigricans. It's a dark velvety patch of skin, and it's usually found in the body folds, such as the neck or the armpit or the groin area. Sometimes you'll see it in the creases of the elbow area. You might notice increased hunger and cravings. That's because the fluctuating blood sugar levels can lead to increased appetite and cravings for carbohydrate-rich foods. You may experience fatigue, and that's because when the cells aren't effectively using glucose, you may feel tired or low on energy. You might see weight gain, particularly around the waist area. That's abdominal fat, and that's associated with insulin resistance. You might have high blood pressure and abnormal cholesterol levels. These can be a part of what's called metabolic syndrome, which is linked to insulin resistance. You also might notice that you have difficulty losing weight. Despite your efforts to diet and to exercise, insulin resistance can make weight management more challenging. Keep in mind that these signs can vary between individuals. Many people with insulin resistance may not notice any of these symptoms at all. If you do suspect that you might be experiencing insulin resistance, it's a good idea to consult with a healthcare professional. Now let's talk about the foods that you can incorporate into your diet which will help slow down glucose absorption. You want to include foods that are rich in fiber, lean protein, and healthy fats, as these do slow down the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream. Here are some examples that you can start to incorporate today. Eat non-starchy vegetables. Those include leafy greens like spinach, kale, and collard greens, broccoli, cauliflower, and zucchini as well, for they are low in carbohydrates and packed with fiber. Incorporate whole grains. Opt for whole grains such as quinoa, barley, oats, and brown rice instead of refined grains, as they have a lower glycemic index. Legumes are a fantastic option. These are beans, lentils, and chickpeas, and they provide both fiber and protein, which help stabilize blood sugar levels. Opt for lean proteins like chicken and turkey, fish, tofu, and low-fat dairy products, which can help maintain steady blood sugar levels. Incorporate fruits with low glycemic index. Those include berries and apples and pears because they tend to have a milder impact on blood sugar compared to fruits with high natural sugars. Choose healthier fats. Avocados, nuts, seeds, and olive oil not only promote satiety, which is that feeling of fullness, but it can also help slow down the digestion of carbohydrates. When you're insulin resistant, the goal is to stabilize the blood sugar levels and reduce the strain on your body's insulin response. While individual needs can vary, here are some general categories of foods you might want to limit or avoid altogether. Number 1, you want to avoid refined carbohydrates. Those are food like white bread, white rice, and many pastries because they have a high glycemic index, which means they can cause a rapid spike in your blood glucose levels. Avoid sugary foods and beverages such as sodas or sweetened juices, candies, and desserts because they're high in added sugars that can worsen insulin resistance. Limit or avoid highly processed snacks. Chips and cookies and many prepackaged snacks often contain refined flours, sugars, and unhealthy fats. Limit or avoid your intake of fried foods. These foods not only tend to be high in unhealthy fats, but they can also contribute to inflammation and weight gain, further impacting your insulin sensitivity. Avoid at all costs trans fats. They are found in some margarines, baked goods, and processed foods, also known as ultra-processed foods, because trans fat can promote inflammation and negatively affect the metabolic health of the individual. Limit your intake on high glycemic index fruits. While fruits are nutritious, some with a high glycemic index, like watermelon or overly ripe bananas, may cause rapid blood glucose spikes when eaten in large amounts. Focus fruits on the lower glycemic load, such as berries and apples and pears, and be mindful of portion sizes. It's a good idea to focus on whole, nutrient-dense foods like non-starchy vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Remember, managing blood sugar is also about balancing portions and overall meal composition. It's always a good idea to work with a healthcare professional or a registered dietitian to tailor these suggestions to your personal health needs. Thank you for watching till the end. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. It helps my channel grow. Leave a comment on the next topic you'd like me to cover. Until then, make it a great day.